Here are the locomotives that will be used on Bontoft at Trainfest at the Baird Centre in Milwaukee on November the 23rd and 24th. I've got the motor rail, 12 horsepower. I've got the freelance hoodie based on a freelance body on a skip chassis. I have got the brush battery electric Amberley there, and finally I have the Bredbury Sewage Works locomotive. All four of these have in common that they are 3D printed kits from LocoRemote. So I'm going to go through what it's like, my experiences of working on one of the LocoRemote 3D printed kits this week. What ho everybody, Ian here. Yes, we are working on LocoRemote Kits this week, the 3D printed narrow gauge unique 3D printed narrow gauge industrial, no, 3D printed unique narrow gauge industrial locomotives. There we go, got all the words in the right order that time. So this that I've just finished is Bredbury Sewage Works locomotive, locomotive being a loose term. This is an old, originally, it's a real thing, was a Reliance, Jap-engined Reliance auto truck mounted on a skip chassis. So again, a very unique creature and perfectly captured by Chris Rennie's LocoRemote kit. Now, I've made a lot of Chris's kits, as you could see from the pre-title sequence there. For the minute, I'm just going to go through some steps and some impressions of what it was like to make the Bredbury kit. Chris's kits are amazing, they really are. All 3D printed, and they go together so well. I said that's the body of the locomotive, so you can see this is obviously a very unusual critter. So oh, there's my driver. I ordered the driver at the same time from David Clavey. The driver is specifically made for the kit. So there's the body, and then in this bag of stuff there's all the bits and pieces that you will need, all neatly bagged up. And there's the electrics, there's a switch and some weights, and the axles and the drive rings, the O-rings to drive the wheels. And then here we have the rest of the chassis as well, and this is just going to like fit together very easily. This is one of the few kits where things are actually going to be needed to be glued together. That's going to have to be glued together, and the body will then fit on top of there like that. The remote control, the LocoRemote unit, and little unit is going to fit in fit in there. Then the battery, the radio controlled LiPo battery is going to fit in there. There's only one size LiPo battery fits in there. Not sure if I have the right size. I think I do. I'll have to look that up and see if I can find them. So hopefully it'll go together fairly quickly. The detail on the kit itself is very, very nice indeed. Those louvers on the bodywork are lovely, very nicely detailed. So that's basically it. And you're going to say, well, where's the instructions? There's no instructions. Well, the instructions are downloadable from the LocoRemote website. So, and they are step by step and very simple and take you through it. This is pretty much everything going together as it is. All this needs is the wheels in place, and then finally and the motor inside. But these are all the sub assemblies of the locomotive, and this just shows you what a well engineered kit this is. You when you're assembling the skip frame, putting the bonnet, the engine compartment in place, helps to locate these footboards and the frame supports underneath. This here, that's just going to be a wooden box that's for, it's going to perhaps keep the weights, for keeping the weight and give it extra weight. You see another footboard assembly here. So, and then the engine compartment comes off like that. There we have the lid for another sub-assembly, and that's basically it for those. The only other parts that you don't see on this right now are the parts of the brake linkage and the wheels, and that's it. I mean, you've bought your LocoRemote locomotive kit, 16mm scale or 7/8, and it's your first one, and you're wondering, how do I set the wheels on the axles to the correct back-to-back? Do I get a back-to-back gauge with the kit? Well, with Bredbury, you don't need one. You have this little red spacer here, and you have the wheels, and that's all you need. You see, the axle has been already cut to the right length and fits in there in the axle boxes. And what you do is basically you put your wheel on this spacer, and then you lightly hammer the axle through the wheel, and when it reaches the other side of the spacer and barely just pokes through, then that is set at the correct back-to-back measurement. It might need a little bit of a tweak, but the back-to-back should be 28, and the back-to-back on this is 27.8. So just a little pull and a tweak, and there we go. 28mm, just like that. And here's, just to test these out, we'll put these in. There's a lot of play in the skip underframe for these axles, and you just put them in here, tweak, twist, and there we go. The locomotives also come with full instructions on how to wire the remote control up, and that's simplicity itself. The instructions recommend that you test everything before you put everything together, I'll just wire the battery to the switch and the switch to the motor, a switch to the remote control, sorry, and then do the motor to the remote control. Then either using an iPad or your iPhone, I'm going to have to use my iPad here. There's the iPad, there's the control, so I'm selected forward and first gear, and you can see that the motor is rotating. Then I will just like coast it to a stop, and you can see it's stopping. So that's the LocoRemote remote control setup. So here's a view inside the engine compartment of Bredbury. Then, as you can see, it's a very tight fit, but don't worry, everything is designed to fit in there, from the battery with the wiring to the switches and the remote control unit. It's all a perfect fit. One thing I forgot to talk about was the position of the on-off switch for the battery power. Now, with such a small locomotive as this, hiding such a thing is very, very difficult. But as you can see from the photographs, Chris has done a very good job here using the driver figure to obstruct your view of the on-off switch. Bredbury is finished, well, short of painting the driver figure and doing a little bit of touch up on a few areas where the paint has rubbed off. I even added my own little bit of detail. I put in a headlight. The headlight came from the radio control car section of a local hobby shop, because radio control cars come in all scales, and there are scales around about 118, 119 there, which is perfectly suitable for 16mm scale. So just found those in a packet, bought them, and painted it and stuck it on the front, and that I think looks pretty good. So I'm very, very happy with the way that one's turned out. I'm sure this will turn a few heads at the at Train Fest. So take care. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, build that model, lay that track, run that train. Above all, have fun.